So it's very important to understand the target audience and those businesses are going to be able to benefit more from a desktop as a service solution. So if we look at really categorizing around kind of employee counts, 25 to 2,000 employees is really kind of the general range that we always look at. Under 25, it's not as financially, it doesn't make as much business sense for them. A lot of times because there's a certain amount of resources that have to be in place that drives the cost up. And desktop as a service is very much a economies of scale type product. So as you get to a larger user count, the per user price tends to come down because of the economies of scale. And then above kind of the 2,000, a lot of these companies have the big, robust IT staffs where they can really do a lot of this stuff themselves. So kind of the third-party outsourced managed hosting of desktop as a service may not make a lot of sense for them when they can do these things on their own. Now, another factor that would come into place with this particular user count is the limited IT. Stats say that less than 2% of the employee count is going to be IT. So let's say, simple math, 2 employees, 2 IT guys per 100 employees. That's very lean, right? And that leanness in their IT staff is going to inhibit them from being able to be forward-thinking in technology and bring in new technologies because they're very used to doing a lot of break fix and a lot of reactive type work. So we recognize this as being advantageous for them to be able to use a third party to kind of augment that and gap fill that side of the business. The next would be remote employees. 2 things with this. Controlling data, right? Companies want to be able to control the data and control the experience and how they're viewing that data and working that data from a standardized format. The second one is hiring, right? Companies would rather look for talent as opposed to location, right? Talent always trumps location. So this allows for them to go out there and hire people in certain markets that may not be where they actually are and be able to enable them to work for the business, right? And go get the best folks that are the best fit for them at the time. The next would be M&A. Mergers and acquisitions are a huge driving factor for businesses to standardize and go to a desktop as a service. And there's 2 reasons really why. So if you take a company over here that's kind of doing things themselves today, right? And they're going to be getting ready to be acquired. There's 2 things to look at. One is predictable costs around IT. So desktop as a service is one way to have a predictable cost around a per user for that business. So from an M&A company that's obviously financially sensitive, they're looking at the valuation of a company and they say they have 200 employees. They can almost put $1 on each employee and how much that's going to cost from an IT perspective in the event that they're using desktop as a service. The other side of it is they are 2 different companies, right? They might be running their own ERP over here. They could be doing their own thing. So being able to bring this company into here seamlessly, you're able to do that through desktop as a service and a lot quicker, as opposed to doing the full migrations and having them operate really as separate entities. So big thing with the M&A space. The next one is Byod, bring your own device. So very similar to the remote employees and being able to go get talent. A lot of kids coming out from college now, they have their own MacBook Pros, they have their own Surfaces, they have their own devices that they want to be able to leverage as opposed to a 15-pound Dell computer. So Byod is a big driving force here for the millennial type employees to be able to use their own device, but at the same time keeping the data and the sensitivity of the data and the security intact for the business to be comfortable. Plus they can use multiple different devices. You don't just have to be chained to your computer. Another example of a good business, seasonal businesses, peaks and valleys, right? You look at companies that go up and down in user count. Now, scaling up and scaling down is obviously something that's very advantageous with the cloud and with desktop as a service, especially from a financial piece, and then just in general, the mean time to get it done. Look at a tax firm, right? Obviously a tax firm this time of year is going to be operating somewhere up here in terms of number of users. Once tax season is over, they're going to scale down. So having that predictability around cost, having the ability to scale that down quickly without having to have all the compute to do this is huge for them. And then the last one, of course, kind of going back to the original drawing, would be multi-location. Standardization is huge. Every business is looking to standardize the way they do business, whether they're at their corporate office or whether they had a merger and acquisition and they've got the remote offices, right? These are all going to be becoming standardized, and everybody has one form of way of doing work, right? Everybody's seeing the same image, everybody's working on the same applications, all the data is secure, so it becomes a very standardized way and a seamless way to do IT whenever you have those remote offices. Last but not least is, verticals that are compliance driven. They're going to be obviously a good target audience. So starting off at number one, this really in kind of order of relevance would be healthcare. A second would be financial, and then legal. Manufacturing would be next. Hospitality, logistics, not-for-profit, of course, technology, and then construction. So again, it's very good to understand, who the target audience is, what are the good fits, what's the makeup of a general business that's going to be a good fit for you to go in there and talk about desktop as a service with.